Hey, everybody, welcome to Muscular Development's preview of the Orlando Pro. And joining me, thank goodness this man is joining me. He's back from near-death experience, had a triple bypass, and look at him. He's raring to go. He is the Tiger, Giles Tiger Thomas, all the way from the UK. How are you, Giles?
I'm doing very well, mate. How are you?
Doing great. Yeah. Any new scars to show?
No, just the three, and they're healing up nicely. Thank you.
Yeah. How's just a quick update on you? How's everything going? Like energy and
Yeah, I feel good. Yeah, I feel coming back. I mean, even just if you compare to how I was even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I mean, I'm pretty much moving around as normal. I can do pretty much everything for myself now. And like a couple of weeks ago, I was having to be helped out of bed and having to have my food made, and I just couldn't do naff all really. But now I'm pretty much improvements every single day, and it's and also my mood. I feel good, and I'm feeling ready to come back to work now as well. I was going to speak to you about this off camera, but I feel ready to really ease myself back in. But there is one thing I'd like to put out there. If there's any good videographers or creative video people, I'm looking for a really, really good intro for season 5 of Global Muscle.
Okay.
So I've spoke to a few people. I even paid for one and I didn't like it, so it got shelved. Yeah. But I want something to that level of season 4. And if the person's good, I'll use them for my other shows, like Ronnie and the Hype and all those, and Buff Bombshell. And so I really, really need, because I don't want to come back and just continue season 4. I want to come back with a bang, make a few improvements, and I want to start off season 5, new beginnings. And and I want to get back started really, really soon. So they need to be quick.
Okay. How would you like this person to contact you?
Just through Giles_Tiger Instagram, or DM me on MD, or email me at gilesthomas@live.co.uk. I mean, I'm pretty easy to get hold of through Global Muscle Instagram, MD Instagram. I mean, I see all the DMs. Okay. So, but I'm really keen. Like even a week ago, I was still a bit shaky on when I should come back and what I should do. But I feel now if I start planning stuff in a week or 2 weeks or whatever, I know I'm going to be good enough and feeling good enough in myself to really get stuck in and come back. Because I don't want to come back all slow and people start coming up, or I book guests and then I have to cancel. And, so I wanted to make sure I was feeling as good as I am now. And I know in a week I'll be feeling even better. So, ready to get back to it, mate, and also get back right into the mag, which I think today.
Yeah.
Good issue, mate.
Yeah, you had no, you didn't have a feature in that one. I think that was, but the one before that you'd had one or two. Definitely had one. Now, because someone put in their Instagram story that you did a feature on them. I can't remember who it was. It was really recent.
Who was that? I got the issues here. Who was it?
I don't know. It'll come to me like an hour after we're done recording, I'm sure. But anyway, let's get into Orlando. That's what we're here to talk about. So we'll start with the favorite. He's got to be the favorite, Hassan Mostafa, who just won his first show finally at the Puerto Rico Pro. And it was a whole new Hassan Mostafa. He was down from about 250, 255 to around the 235 range, really streamlined, but the conditioning was finally there. He's got a new coach, AJ Sims, the Cement Factory. And man, I was so pleased to see this guy finally. So many guys we've seen, you and I both, were like, oh, if he just came in really sharp for once, he'd be winning shows. And we always felt Hassan should be winning shows. This is a guy that he was taking a lot of second, third, fourth, fifth places over and over again, but never could nail that top spot. And man, this new version of Hassan Mostafa, this is it. I mean, I think he's got the winning formula. If he could, I talked about it with Jose, if he could somehow get a little bit more of that fullness back that he had, not that he was flat and small, he's still a huge guy, but with this conditioning and a little more of that fullness, he'd be even deadlier. Talk to me about Hassan Mostafa.
See, isn't it a case of guys that think you've got to come in bigger, heavier all the time? If they're not placing where they want to place, they have to come back 20 pounds heavier. But look what Hassan and look what Ramy had to do to win. They had to come down 20 pounds to bring the waistline in, to bring the conditioning, And I mean, wasn't it such a like punch the air moment when it wasn't just so much the win. I mean, I had a feeling he was going to win this even at 90%, but to see him finally coming in, you know, after a couple of years of like, frustration of nearly there. And I thought, are we going to have another Ramy on our hands where he's going to be doing this for 5-6 years and he's going to be a first call out guy or at the top of the second call out, and you know he should be coming in and being like dead row center. I mean, this guy's a top 6 Olympia guy, really. Yeah. You know, let's be honest, at his best. But I was so happy to see that it wasn't just so much the conditioning, it was the detail. You know, I know they kind of go hand in hand, but I was so happy to see that he'd sort of bit the bullet. And I mean, even that video he posted where he was just like flexing in the gym and he said, I'm super flat now. Yeah. And it's like, even super flat, the guy's still, you know, you and I can see that he's flat compared to how he does look when he's full. Right. But he's one of these guys that even if he's probably on 0 carb and he's super flat and depleted, he still looks so round and full because of the shape of his muscle bellies. Yeah. So, but you know what I thought about when I saw him on the list? Why is he doing this show?
He had committed to the Puerto Rico Pro, the Orlando Pro, and the Arnold UK ahead of time. Yeah, he's already qualified for the Olympia, but you know, we talked about in the interview, it's one of those cases where why not? You're a professional. This is your job. It's like in the old days, these guys tried to win in the 90s. Those guys would hit, you know, some of them would hit 10, 12 shows a year, like Milos, Kevin, Flex Wheeler. They used to do, even if they'd won a show, it wasn't like, oh, okay, I won a show, I'll stop now. This is their livelihood. Why not keep going? Why not, especially when he's got 1 win, why not try to get a 2nd win and a 3rd win? Really cement himself as a front runner. I think it's a great idea. I'm sure the other guys up there are like, oh, freaking Hassan, can't you just go home, go back to Egypt and let us have a show? But yeah, I'm glad he's doing more shows because otherwise we wouldn't see him again until December.
That's true, but I think we'd probably be complaining if he dropped out. So really, I should really just kind of look at the fact that he's actually committed to the show and he's still going through with it. Because some of these guys, they're like, they've signed contracts and they've committed to all these shows and then they win a show or they don't do as well as they hope and they just kind of shut it down, you know, for the whole year. And sometimes I just think, oh, come on, guys, that's a bit off, really. You know, if you've committed to a show, you should really see it through. So I suppose looking at it, I respect him for putting himself on the line, continuing to prep when he doesn't really need to continue to prep. And the thing is, like this and the Arnold UK, they're quite spaced out, you know, so... And maybe he's one of these guys that, like he did last year when he did 8 shows he did last year?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that maybe just like, because I think he stays in pretty good condition all year round. Maybe it's not like a huge deal for him to just carry on prepping. You know, maybe it's not that different to if he just decided to shut it down after the Puerto, you know, and just go for the Olympia. But yeah, I really respect him for sort of, the thing is, like, who's to say he couldn't pick up the next, who's to say he couldn't win here? He couldn't win in the Arnold UK, you know, and maybe that'll help him and probably give him a bit of momentum going into the Olympia, you know, because if he just shut it down after Puerto Rico, maybe, I'm not saying he'd be forgotten by the time the Olympia, but if he's spacing these shows out and he's getting wins or 2nds or 3rds or, you know, and he's looking good, or maybe he's trying to, or maybe he's looking even better, because I'd like to see if he could get the condition of Puerto Rico, but maybe a little bit more fullness, because you could see when he was doing his most muscular and his front lat spread, you could see the chest was a little bit flat. So maybe if he tried to, because the thing is, he's got the win, so he can maybe afford to, him and AJ Sims could experiment maybe with a little bit of, okay, let's try and push the filling out process a little bit more and see if we can bring you in fuller, because if he gets a little bit fuller and he still comes in as dry as he was in Puerto Rico, he's going to look even better than he did in Puerto Rico, which will, obviously he'll get a win. And obviously he's going to get a really, he's going to have a, you know, he's going to be able to experiment with different looks, especially with working with a new coach. Because I think that's always valuable to do multiple shows with a new coach, because they can try now different looks, because the Olympia is where it counts. Because I mean, if he comes in at his all-time best, I can't see him being out of the top 10 at the Olympia.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, yeah, like you said, and you know, it's great. It's amazing that they got it. They got it right. AJ and Hassan, the first time they worked together, that's a rare thing. Yeah. Because you know, he didn't have a lot of time to learn this guy's body and stuff, but I think he did a fantastic job.
Impressive.
So let's move on to the Jamaican tank, Phil Clahar. Phil has never won a show yet. He's come so close, especially last summer. Second place in Tampa to Ian Valier. Then he went to Texas the next weekend, and it was third place behind Ian and Steve Kuklo. But man, he was right there. He was right there. I mean, I think you could have flipped a coin at that Texas show for any of those three guys. They were all worthy. You know, Phil has really brought it to another level over the past couple of years. Condition, he's got the size, crazy back, chest, shoulders. He's a massive guy who gets into great condition. You know, a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. And, you know, nicest guy too. So of course, I like to see the nice guys. You know, him and his wife Patty. They're the best. They're the best people. I love seeing them at the shows and stuff. But he's going to be pushing Hassan. I don't know if Hassan can be rolled over at this point. But Phil's going to give his best shot.
If Phil brings what he brought to Texas, and Hassan doesn't bring something as good, if not better than Puerto Rico, he could take Hassan.
Yeah.
Because you think about Texas, like you said, you just said it there, and I was agreeing. That top three was interchangeable, and that's Ian Valier and Steve Kuklo. Like, these are guys are like, I mean, obviously Steve Kuklo's been top 6 Olympia. Ian Valier was winning multiple shows, and he's really leveled up to, what was he, the Olympia 7th, 8th?
Yeah, 7th.
Yeah, so he's 7th. So he's knocking on the top 6. I mean, really, the next little step up for Ian Valier now is to be top 6 Olympia, which Steve has already been in 2019. So if Phil can bring, I mean, if he came in with something even better than he did at Texas, yeah. I mean, realistically, he could really take Hassan out here. Well, you know, so, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed how he looked in Boston, but I just thought the first thing I said to myself was he just needs to do a few more shows, because I think he's one of these guys that does, like he did with Tampa to, what was the big jump up? With 11th to 2nd, man. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. He was like third call out at the Tampa show a couple of years ago.
No. It was New York Pro to New York Pro to Tampa. Wasn't 11th to 2nd?
Something like that. I think it was 11th to 2nd. Yeah.
But it was dramatic, and that was only in a few weeks. Right. So if he could, and Boston's quite a while ago now, and I think that would have been quite, because I think he expected to do a lot better in Boston, and I think the extra time he's had, I think potentially we might see an all-time best Phil Clahar here, which I want to see. I just want to see him looking as good as he did at Texas, because if he does, I mean, wouldn't it be cool if he took the win here and got a qualification? Because I know he really, because like you said, he's 48 now.
I don't know if he's 48. He's in his mid to late 40s. I should know this offhand. I think he is 48. I think you're right. 48 or maybe even 49. He's up there. He's pushing 50.
Like you said in the previous preview, you said that you know, he knows he's not got a huge amount of time, so there is a kind of sense of urgency. So I would absolutely love to see him get the win here, and also it's not so much the win. I just want to see him looking, because at Boston it wasn't the best version we've seen, and I think we maybe expected, and I think we wanted to see something better than last year. But it wasn't to do with his physique; it was just purely to do with conditioning and peaking. Which as he's proved before, he can sort that in a couple of weeks, like he did from New York Pro to Tampa. So if he can do that again, if he can do that and nail it perfectly here, yeah. I mean, I would not bet against him winning this.
Yeah, and you know, it should be said that he does have an advantage over Hassan in his structure. Hassan does not have very wide clavicles. He's got so much muscle stacked on top of it that it's hard for most people to realize that, but he doesn't have that typical really wide shoulder, small waist. He doesn't have that natural X frame where Phil does. Phil's a 6 foot tall, 6'1" guy, super wide shoulders, narrow waist, flaring thighs. So like you said, Phil brings it 100% like he did in Texas last year, and Hassan, for whatever reason, if he comes in off, it could be Phil's show.
I mean, I think the thing with Phil is, I mean, you said he's got a very good back, but sometimes you have guys with really good backs, but their delts, their arms, their legs, their glutes, their hams, they're kind of lacking. But he's actually got an incredible back, which is like, I mean, obviously it's world class, but everything else is there, you know, top to toe. You know, those two back shots are very, very, very deadly for him. And I think it's going to be interesting to see him next to Hassan being so much taller with more of an X frame. And, you know, so if Hassan doesn't bring his, as good as he did at Puerto or better, I could see this going down to the wire between these two.
Yeah. Now, next up on the list, it said Andrea Mosti from Italy. So I said, I know Andrea Presti and I know Andrea Muzzi. Let me look up Presti, and he's a physique pro. So I messaged Mr. Presti, Signore. He is doing the show. I was going to, if he didn't answer me, I was going to go to Mauro Sassi, but he is in the show. So Andrea Presti, who I've seen a couple times this season, very impressed. Geez, they're cranking him out from Europe. You're killing it lately. Another guy, really wide, thick, great shape. Conditioning can be sometimes a little better, sometimes a little worse. It's not consistently spectacular, but when he's on, he's tough. He's very tough to beat. He'll be first call out. He'll be pushing these top guys too.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely first call out. I mean, I'd be interested to see him versus Phil. I mean, but I hope to see them both at their best, because Andrea looks so good at the New York Pro. You were there.
Yeah.
You know, looks so good, and he was so improved. And he's one of these guys that, like he said himself, I've had him on Global, and he said about his genetics not being that good, and his arms and legs are lacking, and you know, but he's a guy that if you actually speak to him and really, really get into his mindset, you know, he's a guy that will improve the next time. So you can have these weaknesses, you can have these kind of like structural whatever, but if you know that they're the sort of guy that will do everything to try and rectify that and not just bring the same package or bring in something not nearly as good, you know that these are the guys you got to watch, because they're the ones who quietly sneak up behind everyone and then do exactly what he did at New York Pro. Because I mean, in our preview, I mean, I know Andrea's physique inside out. You know, I know how good he is. I've seen him compete. But realistically, would you have imagined that he could have took second at the New York Pro?
No. I mean, I've only seen, that was the first time I'd seen him in person. I'd seen photos of him, but in person, he's a lot more impressive, I think, than he is in the photography, even videos. I thought he was pushing. You know, Blessing had a little more pleasing structure, and just the showman, the arms and stuff were crazy. It wasn't like a blowout. It wasn't like you know, Blessing made him look like a child or anything like that. He held his own. And in a lineup like this, you know, Hassan and Phil, Andrea's right there. He's right there with them. So
I to be honest, that whole top three, I mean, I'm kind of, as we're talking, I'm kind of changing my mind of, I think it's going to be like it was at Texas with Kuklo, Valier, and, you know, I think they're going to be moving around a lot. I mean, I think realistically, all things, I think that is going to be the top three. The thing is, like Presti, you know, he really surprised at the New York Pro. You know, I didn't expect him to come in and be like first call out and be, you know, and be like a top three guy, but he did it and he proved it, and that's really made a statement now. So I just hope I mean, imagine if he could come in even better than he was at New York Pro, because he's one of these guys, he's quiet. Like, I didn't even know he was carrying on competing. I mean, I was, you know, I was happy to hear that, you know, that he is, but he's kind of one of, like I said, he's kind of one of these quiet guys. I mean, he trains for like, he said he like trains for like 2.5 hours, and he's just, he's a real workhorse, this guy, you know, and he's very passionate. And I just, I'd like to see, yeah, I think that the rear shots I've got in my head of him, Hassan, and Phil Clahar, I can just imagine the crowd going absolutely bananas over that.
I'm glad he's doing so many shows. Him, Andrea Muzzi, and Theo. I'm so glad they've been doing all these shows stateside, because they could have languished in obscurity doing Portugal Pro and, you know, European shows, but then they would never have had the exposure to the fans over in US and Canada and all that. So I'm so glad they're headed over here more often.
I'm trying to get Andrea Presti to come with Theo before the Arnold UK and do an episode of Global physically in the studio.
Yes.
So I'm trying because I said, guys, I got 2 spare bedrooms here. Yeah. Come in, and I said I can do Mauro, I can do Theo, I can do Andrea Presti. And I mean, if he's got, I mean, who else you got? Bring him. If he's got Clancy with him as well, because I think he's hoping to bring him. I'll do an episode with him. So I'm trying for this now. I mean, I think I've definitely got Theo, but hopefully I have Mauro and Presti. But that'd be so cool to get them in the studio, and you know, because those face-to-face ones are the best, you know, when they physically get in the studio. But yeah, so I'm excited to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see Presti. And also, I think he's going to be building up a decent amount of points now for the Olympia, because I know he'd like to improve on his last place at Olympia last year. You know, obviously that's a good starting point, really. Can't get any worse.
Yeah. I said before that, I said, someone's going to take last, and people are going to look at that and think, oh, this guy must suck. He took last place. This is the Olympia, guys. It's like 15 or 17 of the best physiques on the planet.
No
alive.
Shame.
So come on, guys. The next guy I'm excited to see is Tonio Burton, who was a little over a year ago. I'd never really heard of him, vaguely familiar. He turned pro with the USA as a light heavy. Last year, Indy Pro, pro debut as a 212, blew it out of the park. Easy win, just dominant. And then this year he moves up to open, takes third place at the Cali Pro a few weeks ago. He's put on, I don't know how much size. I got to interview this guy soon, but man, he's got such round, full muscles on him. Just I'm curious to know what he weighs. He looks a lot bigger than he was as a 212, but I bet it's only like 10 or 12 pounds. But what a difference it makes on his physique.
Do you know what? I mean, he's one of the guys I'm really excited to see, because he was the one that, when we did the preview, and I pretty much said, I have no idea how this guy's going to do, because one, he's so new as a 212, and now he's already, it's not like he's been in 212 for 5 years and he's stepping over. And I don't really know his physique that well. I've seen him all over Instagram, and I just thought, I have no idea how this guy's going to look as an open. And I was I remember looking at the Flex magazine. They had some online pictures, and they had some really good individual shots of him. Yeah. And I saw them, and my jaw was hanging open, and I was like, holy shit. You know, when someone, he obviously was, it's like when we saw Derek Lunsford at the guest posing, you just think, oh, you're just seeing something. It's like an altogether different bodybuilder. I was so happy that, well, after I saw the pictures, that he went open, because he looks so impressive and he's got such a good shape. To me, he reminds me of he's like a Dexter Jackson.
I was gonna say Dexter or Phil. I didn't want people to get mad at me if I said Phil. How dare you compare him to Phil Heath? But those round muscle bellies, they're rare. You don't see them that often, and he's got that. And you know, all you got to do when you have that, just keep building on it and get your condition down and keep your waist small, and it's a done deal. So this guy's going nowhere but up. Tonio Burton.
I tell you what, if he's so he did, what was it, Cali, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so he did Cali, got third there. Now imagine him just that little, because I like in the quads, I thought he'd get a little bit crisper, but now he's had enough. I mean, when was the Cali? How many weeks ago is it now?
4 or 5 weeks. It's been a while.
You can do a lot in 4 weeks. I mean, if he's really, really, really like sort of, you know, wanting to get even tighter and drier, I tell you what, that's a guy that, I mean, he's not. Could he win?
Maybe. I mean, if he's in crazy condition, you know, we don't have like a ringer in this show. Like, I don't know, say like Ian Valier came in 100%. He would probably win this. He's up there. Any of the top 6, 7 Olympia guys, but I think this is it's anybody's show. Whoever really shows up, crazy, impressive, nails their condition, presentation. You know, this is anybody's show. I know I said it's Hassan's. He's the favorite, and he is. I still think he's the favorite on paper for sure. But, you know, it would not surprise me if one of these guys creeps in and gets the show.
He's like a Dexter. He's very, very complete. I mean, I was really analyzing his physique and analyzing all his compulsories. I mean, his readable bicep, I was zooming right in on the quality of the separation in the arms and the shape. And I just thought, this guy's really good, and he's coming up quick. And I just thought, you know what? Just a few percent sharper. I mean, next to Hassan, I mean, Hassan's not blowing him away at all. I mean, if he's nailed the condition for this one, I think I'm picking him as the kind of the like I said. I mean, that's, you know, like I said, who my top 3 I think will be. But I tell you what, if he comes in and gets the quads and certain area a little bit crisper and drier, and comes in really separated, kind of like Hassan did the jump that he made from last year to this year. Yeah. I tell you what, I think he could be the one to upset the top 3.
The dark horse. I was waiting for you to say dark horse, but anyway.
There you go.
So next up, very exciting. To my knowledge, this is the only guy so far, and I'll be interviewing him today as well, who has gone. He turned pro actually as a bodybuilder in 2015. From 2016 to 2018, he did classic physique. No, 2019. Then he was a 212. And now he's going open. Jason Lowe, who was second place at the New York Pro a couple of years ago to Bo Lewis. So he was a pretty good 212, but I'll get the whole scoop, but he must be even bigger. He's got some crazy shots. IFBB Broku on Instagram. He does that one with, I better not do it, but with his arms spread out. It's such an amazing shot for him. But he's got a few signature poses, but that's the one I admire the most. That the crucifix pose, kind of. He's got a beautiful shape, this kid, and he's always smiling, good mood. He's into anime for the young kids who are into that, because his nickname comes from Dragon Ball Z, I believe, Broku. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm
It's
sure
not Star Wars or Batman. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I'm not into anime. My son was into it for a while. But yeah, Jason Lowe. Imagine that, classic 212 and now open. Oof.
It's like Brett Wilkin.
Yeah, Brett Wilkin. You're
Or
right.
Animal.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so now there's two other people that did it. So I've already been corrected. He's not the first. He's the third, but it's still impressive. Still very, very impressive. I'm very curious to see what he brings. If he's I said if he's in great shape and he's got more size than the last time I saw him, he'll be up in that mix too, for sure. He'll be a first call-out guy, no doubt.
Totally. I mean, Jason was one of those guys that, like I said, he posts a lot of progress pictures. I mean, every day. So, you're very familiar with his physique by the time, he really, he posts literally up to the minute of the show, his physique, top to toe, side to side, every angle. Yeah. I think so he's quite prolific in that way.
Yeah.
But couldn't say that. But he was one that really shocked me when he did the New York Pro, because we're so used to seeing physiques, all these progress pictures, and they look amazing. And then you get on stage and you're like, yeah, he's good, but you're starting to see maybe things they're trying to hide in these photos with certain lighting and angles. But he really, really impressed me. I was like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting him to be that a bit, not just that good, because I kind of knew he was good, but to look so much better. When a physique just comes together, when the tan goes on and they're on stage and the lights, and like I said, most physiques don't look as impressive, but he was the opposite. He looked even more impressive. I mean, his compulsories, his back shots. I mean, that fight between him and Bo Lewis on stage was it was so down to the wire. It was so close. And I'm just interested to see, like I said, with Tonio, how he will look as an open, because I think he's one of these guys that his body, like Derek Lunsford, it was really wanting to grow. And I think just to take that leap, I just hope it works out as well as it did for Tonio and, and guys like Bonac and Hadi, where they just, you see them and you're thinking, yeah, like I said with Tonio, it was a really smart move to do it. Not like, oh shit, mate, you should have stayed 212. Right. So I'm really interested to see how his physique comes together, and because if he's one of these guys who really struggled to make 212, we never got to see the best version of him. So hopefully he's an open this weekend in Orlando. We will.
Yeah. Next up, I interviewed this guy, and was the interview gone up yet? No, it'll go up before this. He was third place in his pro debut in Puerto Rico, Jonas Gitras, who I had to look up, because when he placed there, like, where'd this guy even turn pro? He had turned pro at the Nationals a couple of years before as a super heavy, and then didn't compete during all the pandemic and all that stuff. But big guy, great condition. He's about 6 foot or 6'1", 250, shredded. He's a Chris Aceto client. And I was excited to see it, because we don't see too many guys in open that we've never heard of that are just like, wow. That's something we're seeing so much in classic, but open, there's not too many surprises in open, Lingsley. This guy was a pleasant surprise. Really.
Apart from Brazil, they're all their bloody all their open guys are just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not that familiar with this guy. I've not really studied his physique properly, but I will after this. I'll go and I'll have a proper look, because to get third, I mean, he beat some good names there. So you rate him, do you?
Yeah, he beat Max Charles. He beat a few guys. He was third place. I know there was only 7 guys in the show, but still, great debut. Next up, Matt Kuba, Kouba. This guy is very consistent. I've seen him so many times at shows like Chicago, Tampa, New York, always in condition. Big guy. He reminds me kind of Brad Rowe in a way. Just a really all-American. Can I say that? Is that
yeah.
Okay, all-American. Don't offend any non-Americans. But he's just so Matt's just a workhorse. Shows up, does his homework, shows up in shape every time. He's had a lot of top 10 placings. I think he's done 6th or 7th at a couple shows, but he's someone who could hopefully get a good showing here. I know you've seen Matt before a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, he's good. He's got I like his front last spread.
Yeah. He's got
really, really good. Yeah, it's I like the consistent guys that bring in the condition. I like the guys that compete a lot, and he's I'll be interested to see. I think he's he should be in with a good shot. Yeah.
And rounding out the open lineup, Martin Hernandez from Mexico, not too familiar with him. Walter Martin from Ohio. I did see him taking 7th place at Indy. Great physique, and he's got one eye. He's got one.
What was it?
Yeah, well, he's got two, but one's like a glass or some sort of prosthetic. He lost that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's someone I want.
How do you lose it? How do you lose it?
He's somebody I want to get on online sooner or later. I'm sure he's got a story, a great story.
Yeah, yeah. Get him on.
Beautiful physique on that guy. And Jamal Hamilton from the Bahamas. That's it. So they're all going to be. This is a one-day show. Judging is at 11. Finals are at 7. This is all Eastern Standard Time in Orlando. As we're speaking on Tuesday morning or Tuesday early afternoon, I haven't seen anything about a pay-per-view, but a lot of times that info doesn't seem to come out till like Wednesday or Thursday lately. It's kind of a last-minute deal, but yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll be able to watch it. I'm curious to see how these guys do. Yeah, so that's it. You may or may not be able to follow. Well, actually, geez, the time difference, it would be, you are 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard, so 7 p.m. for the finals would be
midnight.
1 a.m. No, you're right, midnight. I am the worst, damn it. Yeah, that's too late, Giles. No, don't do it. But yeah, so looking forward to this show. I want to see if Hassan can pull off a second win, or if Phil Clahar can knock him out and get his first win. Andrea Presti might be the guy. Tonio Burton. Jason Lowe, we've never seen Jason as an open, so a lot of what ifs, a lot of X factors coming into this Orlando Pro. Very exciting.
Yeah. Kind of secretly rooting for Clahar to get a win, because I don't want to.
Of course.
He had a great year last year, and I know he would have been disappointed with Boston. So I mean, I shouldn't be biased, but I kind of am. You know, Hassan's got the qualification now, but right. I think it'd be a nice confidence booster and a good, and he'd be a good addition, because I'd like to have seen him in the Olympia last year, but. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see this one. It's going to be a really good show. So yeah.
Patty and Phil, we're rooting for you. Yeah, like I agree with you. I'd be happy for Hassan to get another one, but like, he's already qualified. Phil is yet to win a pro show. He is probably in the last 2 or 3 years of his career. He's really hitting his stride right now. I'd love to see him knock this one out. I'd love it. It would make me happy for sure. So that's it, man. Giles Tiger Thomas, we'll be seeing MD Global return sometime soon in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, any updates? We'll see.
But please, if anyone knows anyone that can put together a really good intro, because I am speaking to a couple of people at the moment, but I really need to widen the net a bit, because I have a certain standard of what I want, and I really want to come back with a bang. I don't want to come back sort of, you know, because obviously it's been out for a while and I miss it. It was just the last week I was really kind of into the groove of my recovery at the moment, and really relaxing and just trying to eat and sleep and just to kind of repair my body, you know. But the last week I've been really getting sweaty palms, wanting to come back, you know, and feeling a bit out. I don't like feeling out of things, you know, because I like to be right in the mix of it, you know, because that's kind of what I do, you know. It's what I love to do, and it's hard for me to be out of things, you know, and just purely because I've had a little old heart attack, you know.
Little old heart attack, yeah. Well, guys, if there's a pay-per-view, I will be doing wrap-ups after judging the finals. If there's a pay-per-view, by the time this comes out, I'm sure we'll know whether or not there is. Maybe I'll have I wish I could have given you a link to all the info, but we'll do that on the description if and when that happens. Anyway, thank you, Giles Tiger Thomas, my brother from another mother over there in the United Kingdom. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Orlando Pro coming up Saturday. We'll see who comes out on top. Thanks for watching. Buddy.
Douche.